second speaker for the first time. We have Beth Bookta.
How many of you have been to an amusement park? Like, surprising number of you. How many of you who went were excited to ride your favorite rides and meet your favorite characters, maybe even get a pair of mouse ears? A lot of you. Now, how many of you who went were also excited to get the measles while you were there? No one? Measles is a highly contagious airborne viral infection that can be deadly in many cases. There was an outbreak of the measles at Disney parks in 2014 where almost 150 individuals contracted the disease as a result of being in contact with other individuals who were at the park that got the disease. Measles is also highly preventable with the use of vaccines. In all 50 states, public school children are required to receive certain vaccines, like the MMR vaccine that covers measles, mumps, and rubella. But in 18 states, parents are allowed to opt out of these vaccines for their children, citing personal belief, meaning any reason that is not religious or medical. Now, the issue of the transmission of preventable diseases could affect every person in this room. It could affect all of our health, our friends, our family, any stranger that we meet on the street is affected by personal belief vaccines. And it is because of this that I believe all 50 states should remove these personal belief exemptions for mandatory vaccines in order to ensure public safety and protect citizens against these preventable diseases like the measles. By examining what laws currently exist, as well as the harms that these personal belief exemptions impart on public health, as well as addressing common arguments against these vaccines, I'll demonstrate why it is important that these personal belief exemptions are immediately removed. First, the 18 striped states here represent states that allow personal belief exemptions for their school children. The solid blue states are states that recognize religious exemptions as well as medical exemptions, while the 3 states in white recognize no exemptions other than medical exemptions. This means that in these striped states, parents are allowed to send their children to school without being vaccinated for the measles, for example, if they are able to demonstrate that their personal beliefs do not agree with what vaccines do. So why does this matter? By not vaccinating children for preventable diseases like measles, not only are these children's health put at risk, but so is public health as a whole. According to the Journal of the American Medical Association, since 2000, of the 1,400 reported cases of the measles, only 14% involved individuals who had received vaccines for the disease, while at least 57% involved individuals who had not received vaccines. And of these 57%, 70% were not vaccinated on account of personal belief exemptions. They concluded that children who have not received these vaccines are put at a far greater risk of contracting the disease, sometimes up to 35 times greater risk than a child who has received a vaccine. These findings are echoed by medical experts across the country and across the world, who find a highly predictable link between the percentage of individuals infected during an outbreak and the number of individuals who claim exemptions from these vaccines. But aside from just the personal dangers of being exempted from vaccines, public health as a whole is put at risk. This is because of the concept of herd immunity. On both the left and the right here, the red dots represent an individual who has been infected with the disease like the measles. The blue dots represent individuals who have received their vaccines, while the gray dots represent individuals who have not been vaccinated. On the left, where there are fewer vaccinations in the society, it is clear that the disease is more easily transmitted to more individuals because there are fewer barriers to the transmission. While on the right, there are more vaccinated individuals in the society, and the disease is not as easily transmitted because there are more barriers and more vaccinated individuals. What this means is that vaccinating yourself not only protects you, but it can protect those around you. Not everyone is able to receive a vaccine. Some are too young, and some may have legitimate reason to claim a medical exemption due to allergy or some other adverse reaction to a vaccine. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, many unvaccinated individuals are clustered together geographically, which makes it exponentially more dangerous for both vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals in these areas. That is why vaccinations matter to all of us, not just those who are exempting from the vaccines. So what can we do? The plan for protecting our citizens is very simple. Just as 32 states have already done, all 50 states should remove these personal belief exemptions. If we remove these exemptions, the incidence of preventable diseases will decrease. In California, after stricter laws were put in place removing these personal belief exemptions, the percentage of vaccinated kindergartners rose to almost 96%, well above the threshold that medical experts recognize as safe for a population. And while the total number of medical exemptions claimed in the state also did rise, the benefits of having a larger number of the population vaccinated far outweighs these costs. Originally published by the U.S. Council on Foreign Relations, this map here also shows the incidence of preventable outbreaks in the United States since 2008. In states like California, before its law was passed, Texas, Michigan, Florida, Arizona, and Wisconsin, it is clear that there are a large number of outbreaks of preventable diseases. And according to the CDC, these are also the 6 states where the most vaccination exemptions are claimed. In fact, West Virginia and Mississippi, the two of the states with no non-medical exemptions, are also 2 of the states with the fewest incidents of outbreaks. Mississippi is actually the state with the highest rate of vaccinated children of any state in the United States. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, vaccines for children produce immunity in 90 to 100% of cases, but they only work when people get them. These personal belief exemptions work directly against public health as a whole, and they are the reason why we have some of these outbreaks. Now, finally, there are a few commonly cited arguments against vaccines, and we've all heard some of them. But these arguments are not based on fact. They are indeed rooted in fear and misinformation. One such consequence is that vaccines lead to the development of autism. Many of us have heard this argument throughout society, but it is indeed not based on fact. According to Oxford University, who aggregated data from 20 independent studies from countries across the world, there is no evidence that a link exists between autism and vaccines. The original paper in which that claim was published in 1998 has since been fully retracted by its publishing journal, citing data manipulation and intense conflict of interest by its author, Andrew Wakefield, who intended to profit on these falsified claims. Andrew Wakefield has also been barred from practicing medicine in the United Kingdom as a result of these claims that he made, a judgment that also cited his unethical research on children with developmental disabilities. Beyond autism, there are other possible health consequences that individuals claim as reasons to not vaccinate their children. One such argument is that a severe allergic reaction could occur in a child that doesn't know that they are allergic to something in the vaccine. And while the CDC recognizes that this is a possibility, it in fact occurs, and the chance of it occurring is greater than 1 in 1 million. It is so rare that it's hard to determine causality between the reaction and the vaccine. So, in conclusion, it is clear that personal belief exemptions do far more harm than good. Not only are unvaccinated individuals put at far greater risk than vaccinated individuals, but public health as a whole is put at risk when these vaccination exemptions are in place. The arguments against vaccines are commonly heard, but they are not supported by any scientific fact. So, someday when you're getting ready to go to Disney, maybe with a child, a friend, a cousin, a sibling, take a moment to think, should they have to get the measles because you did not vaccinate them? Should they have to get the measles because someone else did not vaccinate their children? I think we can all agree that they should be able to enjoy the happiest place on earth, disease-free.